After wooing us and getting our hopes up on Sunday, we lost more than we bargained for on a demonic final two pitches. Welcome to the Dom Skeen Channel, your one-stop shop for the Mariners storylines on Seattle's minds. The Mariners fell 4-5 to the Giants and were swept out of the Bay Area yesterday as Bryan Woo looked to build on his promising 2025 debut, striking out 6 and walking just 1. But he allowed a 3-run homer to Mike Yastrzemski in a bad bottom of the fourth to lose control of the game and couldn't get the quality start. The underlying numbers tell us both good and bad news about Woo. His pitches aren't looking much different than last year. He still holds 2 dynamite pitches in the 4-seam and 2-seam that are some of the best in the league despite middling velocity, with massive spin rates producing vertical movement, which he throws around 50 and 25% each. They both look great as his primaries so far, both on paper and to the eye, and should continue to make him a solid bet for a good ERA and to get quality starts. His power slider is still a reliable secondary, which he throws around 10% of the time so far, and his changeup and sweeper are mixed in as well. He doesn't need to use all of them in each start, but has the ability to play off of either fastball depending on what's working that night. In theory, having more pitches to select from helps you get out of jams and makes you more deceptive. One more encouraging sign is an increase in velocity across the board. The velocities have improved from 2024 as follows through his first 2 starts. 94.8 to 95.9 on the 4-seamer, 94.7 to 94.9 on the sinker, 86.2 to 88.4 on the slider, 89.6 to 90.0 on the changeup, and 82.2 to 84.7 on the sweeper. This could be due to more time removed from his injuries, including Tommy John surgery, getting stronger, a change in delivery, or just flat-out anger in his first 2 starts. And it could also normalize throughout the season, but fastball velocity is usually one of the biggest predictors of improvement as a starting pitcher. And one start from a pitcher can tell us just as much as one start or 1 month from a hitter. But with Woo's fastball already being one of the best in the majors in the mid-90s, could he be selling out for velocity in a way that he still needs to learn how to control? Or is he stifling his own effectiveness by trying to fix something that wasn't broken in the first place in his velocity? My main hypothesis has to do with his changeup. Although he's thrown it just 12 times so far, there's some batted ball data that I'll be following this season and waiting to see how it normalizes past his first 2 starts. There have been 2 times Woo's changeup has been put in play this season, 1 in each start. The first being Tyler Soderstrom's home run in Game 4 against the A's on last Sunday, and the other being a Jung-Hoo Lee flyout. It was put in play 46 times last year for 35 fieldouts and 11 hits. However, there were only 2 home runs that he gave up, both in the final month of the season. So, as we see this data normalize with more and more pitches that he throws, more and more starts, I'll be curious to see, is he really going to give up more hard contact, and is he going to give up more hits on the changeup, or can he get that pitch being back to being effective for him again? Because, well, he has 2 great fastballs. He also has 2 sliders, one which he uses quite a bit. That's his primary and his secondary pitch, and he really, without the changeup, becomes a 2-pitch pitcher with 2 different versions of those 2 pitches each, which is crafty, but it's also just a less clear approach where he has primary, secondary, tertiary. And as I mentioned before, one of the benefits is that he doesn't have to use all of his pitches on any given night. Depending on what's working, he can play off of the 4-seamer or the 2-seamer more, and he can use whichever slider, whether it's the power slider or the low 80s sweeper, is working better off of that fastball. He can also kind of chuck this changeup when he doesn't want it for a start and then bring it back. But having that as part of his equation, I think, just makes him a much more complete frontline starter, which is what a lot of people think he can be. I've seen a lot of people have picked him to win the Cy Young. I know he was a popular pick in the betting markets, a really popular sleeper in fantasy baseball as well. However, my biggest concern right now is Does he? I don't think that he's going to get nervous to throw the changeup because of bad batted ball data early in the season. He'll know that that will normalize. But I'll be worried if he doesn't throw it in the next start at all. So my main thing with Bryan Woo, just to recap, is the fastballs still look great and the sliders still look great. There's also this increase in velocity that usually means all thumbs up. However, I want him to keep using the changeup, and I want him to keep having a true tertiary pitch to the primary and the secondary. That'll be interesting to watch this coming weekend. Shifting to the offense, this one is, I don't have a whole lot to say about this one, considering we outdid them on expected batting average, as we did, I think, all 3 games this series, 256 to 209. We actually outhit them 11-7 today, but they score more runs, 5-4, winning it in a really ugly bottom of the 9th for us. Just a close game that goes their way. What I'm worried about with our offense is that we scored in 4 innings. Like, I'm encouraged because we scored in 4 innings, and they scored in 2. But runners in scoring position, they had 2 guys on base when they hit their home run, so they get a 3-run homer. We have Julio hit the solo shot, and Cal hit the solo shot, but we don't have anybody on base, and so we have to score runs in 4 different innings just to match up with their 1 inning, which is really 1 swing of the bat, and then 1 more run that they produce. The Mariners right now have a record of 9 for 63 with runners in scoring position. So obviously, we need to hit better with runners in scoring position, which is something that we've talked about. I mean, I haven't talked about it, but Mariners media talks about it constantly, especially over the past few years. And this is another thing that should normalize. However, our plate approaches are not something that I can take a lot of hope. I can't have a lot of hope in the way we're approaching the plate right now, especially when we lose our leadoff man, who has been the best contact hitter so far. The best answer I've got to my big question about the Mariners this season, which is who will lead them in batting average, Victor Robles was looking like the best contact hitter in this lineup. He tries to make a play yesterday, bottom of the 9th inning. Ball hit into right field, towards the corner. Base hit wins the ball game for the Giants. Robles is just hauling to get over there. Dives into the netting that is supposed to protect you over the wall. Makes the catch and sacrifices his body, slamming into the wall and hurting his shoulder in the process. He's now gone on the IL, and we recalled Dom Canzone. So it looks like, as opposed to what some thought, Luke Raley will stay at first base, and Dom Canzone will come up and be our new outfielder. What I'm worried about here is replacing the bat. Outfield defense is something that we can cope with, I believe. If we have to put Luke Raley or Dom Canzone, somebody who might not be quite an average defender, I can live with that. This lineup is so starved for contact that I just don't know where to point now. JP's, I think, going to lead off tonight. Do you move everybody up one and have Julio try leading off? That hasn't worked great in the past. There's a lot of times where that has really been worrisome. That's what we're doing tonight. We're going Julio, Polanco, Randy, Raleigh, Raley, Tellez, Moore, Bliss, and then JP still in that 9 hole. I probably would have gone JP first because he can battle, get deep into counts, and I would have preferred somebody like that to set the tone at the top of the order, be able to kind of control the pace of the game, rather than have Julio try to go hit, first pitch leadoff home run or because Julio loves to hit the ball hard. Even when he's getting a few singles, his best days, he has massive exit velocities. I want him to be swinging the bat hard. I don't want him slowing his bat down in the zone for contact the way that I want our leadoff hitter too. Polanco DHing today, he hasn't He's never been a great fielder. He was okay at second base in Minnesota. Wasn't great there last year for us. He's definitely not looking like a good third baseman. His arm just doesn't look like it's ready to be firing across the infield. Which is why I also don't really understand. I've heard some people say, I'd like Moore to play more second base, but Polanco to stay at third. And if you were going to do that lineup, I would just prefer to have Moore at third and Polanco at second, because I want Polanco throwing the shortest amount possible, just having to do the least amount possible, if he does have to be with a glove out there. Bliss is a better fielder. I love that he's shorter, can shrink the zone. I think he's shown some really encouraging things, but the best at-bats I've seen from him so far are where he's using his power swing, where what I want out of a 5'7" second baseman is for him to crowd the plate and control the zone, draw more walks, hit the ball into the ground. I mean, if you've seen Major League, right, with Willie Mays Hayes, you should be putting the ball on the ground and legging those out. Your best tool is your speed. Every time you hit the ball in the air, you owe me 20 push-ups. That's kind of how I feel about Ryan Bliss at the moment. I just need to see the contact from somewhere in our lineup, and he's the one who his profile fits it the best. But tonight, I just don't know where to look for really solid contact. Raleigh absolutely is the most measured at-bats in this lineup so far, but he is the most power and the least average driven of these hitters. At least, what his best case scenario outlook looks like. It's him hitting 40 bombs and probably still hitting 230 or 240. Because we need to protect him in the lineup so that he can do that. Polanco obviously still hitting 450, the 1226 OPS. Hopefully that never comes down. Hopefully he goes 2 for 4 tonight. I'm going to say that he can do that off Hayden Wesneski. He's been slowing his bat down in the zone. If he continues to do that, even though you think of DH as usually a power position, the Mariners just need contact hitting, so if that's what we're getting out of our designated hitter, I'm very happy with it. The bullpen is being asked to do something hard every single day. Not that we should be expecting, all, pieces of cake, but I would love us to give our bullpen more room to breathe as well. They've had to come into all these games early, except Wu actually made it pretty late into it, despite giving up some runs and battling and getting deep into the pitch count. So today, my biggest keys, Logan Gilbert, that he's going to be one of the top pitchers in the MLB right now. He's done such a good job both of striking guys out and pitching to contact in his first 2 starts. I'm excited to see what that looks like against Houston. And I'm just, unfortunately, in a rivalry game like this, you're not as worried about the underlying numbers. You really just want to feel that win. We want to feel what it likes to beat Houston. It would mean a lot to us to go out and win our first series of the year against Houston. So tonight, I'm going to say my score prediction. We get one back tonight. It's going to be 6-4 Mariners. And I'm going to take Randy to hit homer. This is going to be an animated game. You're going to see this rivalry get renewed in its first matchup of 2025. I will see you guys tomorrow at the breakdown. And let me know in the comments if you'd like me to do some sort of live stream preview for each game. Then just kind of do a recap that I get up earlier before I worry about previewing the next game. So let me know in the comments what you like about these style of videos and what you want to see more of. With that being said, I will see you guys tomorrow. Final prediction, 6-4, Randy hits a homer. Go Ems.